And we're getting with Bill King here, the king of college football talk. And we're also getting some college baseball, of course, with him here as Vanderbilt and Arkansas could be on a crash course heading into the well, I don't know if is this the second round, first round? You get so confused with this single elimination, double elimination stuff. But, Bill, first thing I want to get to is if you can, if there would be any way to find some comparison between Kevin Kopps, Arkansas relief pitcher extraordinaire, winning the SEC Pitcher of the Year award out of nowhere on nobody's radar to start this season other than perhaps his own coaching staff and not even on his own radar. And maybe like one of any SEC offensive or defensive player of the year that you can draw a comparison to, somebody that just was on no one's radar at all. I kind of look a little, I mean, maybe Burrow, because we look at Burrow as the first year at LSU as a game manager. Obviously, it was not that at all the second year. Or maybe is it too difficult to draw comparisons between the two sports? What do you think?
That's a really good one. Burrow, we knew about since recruiting and his time at Ohio State. He was about a 4-star. But what happened that magical 19th season was probably out of nowhere, that level of domination. So that's a pretty good one. I'm going to know. See, the problem I've got with the comparison is that I'm going to know a lot about the football guy and not as much about the baseball guy. So that was a hard one for me because I'm not going to, other than all the players that come from here that I saw play like Rocker when he was young, most of these baseball guys I'm not going to know about until I see him in college.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't, obviously there's not as much of a, there are track records of baseball recruiting, but it's just not covered the same way that football is. So, you know, and I'll ask some stuff about this crazy month that you're probably going to be dealing with the dead period finally ending soon. But you know, before we do that, you know, we could end up finally with an Arkansas Vanderbilt baseball game, which we've all been calling for this season. Like, that's the one really good SEC team that Arkansas hasn't faced yet. And boy, that makes me want to root for Vanderbilt tonight.
Vanderbilt's not playing well, and their pitching, Rocker and Leiter have rebounded pretty well, but their overall pitching hadn't been that good. Christian Little will pitch the first game for Vanderbilt. He's a guy that left school early in January to join Vandy, and he's only 17. He's got a lot of stuff, but he's been getting hit hard all year long. And frankly, guys, I don't know where Vanderbilt's heart is here. They lost that last Kentucky game. They were up 4-2 in the ninth inning, 2 outs, and gave up 5 runs from that moment. It was an ugly way to finish, guys. Very ugly.
Yeah, and that cost them a division championship and potentially a shot at a league championship, too. It's a really good point. But still, I mean, if these two teams do play tomorrow, you're going to see one of those two starting pitchers. You'll see either Rocker or Leiter.
That's true.
Yeah, probably go up against Wicklander, which
true.
I think would be a lot of fun. And we'd have to hear the Vandy Whistler, too. And I think you've explained maybe a couple of years ago about the Whistlers, because it's not just one guy, right? There are 2 of them, and they usually make sure that at least one of them is at a Vanderbilt baseball game. But I think at the tournament here, sometimes it's both of them.
There's 2 of them. They're both late 60s. One of them, I think, is in his early 70s. One of them's name is Preacher Franklin. And then the other one's like Jack Smith or something. I don't know. The only reason I remember the one is because it's pretty unique, right? And apparently, and I don't know the difference between the 2, meaning their whistling pattern, but apparently their cadence is different. I just don't. I just couldn't tell you which is which.
One's like a tenor whistler, Bill, and the other one's like a bass whistler or something like that. Yeah, or just kind of different patterns, yeah. But
I think one is kind of like
give us a taste of the whistler.
Rock, and the other one's like heavy metal. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. All I know is these guys pester the crap out of everybody except their fan base, and they don't care.
Fair enough for us. Fair enough. Bill King joining us here on Halftime. Bill, let's keep with SC baseball for a second. You mentioned Vanderbilt struggling right now. Who knows? They can maybe make a run and get to the SEC tournament championship game. And I think a lot of, Razorback fans want to see that happen to the Razorbacks. albeit some of them want to see this pitching staff maybe change it up a little bit and try not to burn out Patrick Wicklander, Kevin Kopps, and different guys like that. But, Bill, when you look at this Arkansas bullpen, do you think this bullpen could lead them without maybe playing Patrick Wicklander for 3 innings? Kevin Kopps maybe not seeing much action, if any, during this tournament. Can the bullpen lead this Razorback team to an SEC title game?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. That's the most complete team, in my opinion. One man's vote here, but I just think with the bats and the pitching and, as you mentioned, pitcher of the year and everything, the depth that they can throw at you there, Vanderbilt really doesn't have that. And Vanderbilt's not hitting all that well at times this year. And I don't know, guys, now you may be updated more than me. I don't know if Carter Young's available. He is a spectacular shortstop for them. And, again, slid into second about a week and a half ago and hurt his shoulder. That's a big problem, too. But, yeah, Arkansas is, to me, guys, probably the most complete team in America heading into this thing.
Switching over to football just for a moment before we let you go here, Bill. The recruiting dead period is coming to an end. I mean, that's got to be great news for a lot of these coaching staff so they can try to get in front of recruits rather than over a Zoom call, Skype, whatever it may be.
Yeah. What's interesting is a lot of kids have committed and a lot of them are uncommitted. Now that they can go officially to campuses, and a lot of the young guys are going to do unofficials this summer, too. We could see a big rash of decommits because players have not had, since last winter, basically, or the winter of 20, the opportunity to go officially visit the campus and actually soak it all in. And that's a game changer from time to time. And we may have some chaos here coming up, which is fun. It's good for radio, right? But it may get chaotic.
I always love to get your thoughts on Razorback football, and we've heard about this restructured, and I say that loosely, deal with Sam Pittman basically resetting his contract here with Arkansas, and a lot of supporters for this team right now with, just a 3-7 record, all SEC schedule, a lot of positive things moving forward for Sam Pittman and company. What's a realistic outlook for this team, and what do you think would maybe draw some supporters back in year 2 of Sam Pittman?
I think somewhere around 500 would be an excellent year number 2 for them. And what I like is the stability I saw. I haven't seen Arkansas look stable since probably Bob Petrino before the disaster. And obviously this team does not have that kind of talent, but stability. Now here's the one caveat. I think I threw this up to you guys a couple of weeks ago. Fans seem to think, doesn't matter what fan base, that if you've got a year 1, that's just the starting point, and then year 2 always has to be better. And that's not a given. I've seen many year 1s go much better than you thought, so you make an assumption about year 2, and then you don't get what you thought year 2. Matter of fact, year 2 is a step down or 2. Those things can happen. And matter of fact, they happen all the time. So you have to be a little careful to make assumptions. And speaking of baseball, guys, everybody's seen Arkansas now. Right? They saw them a year ago. Everybody's kind of got a feel for them. So there's not going to be that surprise. Arkansas has been so bad so long, we can get them now. They're going to be respected more. That's tough. That's tough when you have to play opponents that really feel like you're good.
Bill, you're talking to a fan base that suffered through one really bad year of Chad Morris and then 3/4 of an even worse second season under Chad Morris. So they're well aware that year 2 could be as bad as year 1.
And I kept telling everybody he's an offensive genius. It's going to be okay. So there's my contribution to that topic.
And I think it's even more fitting now, just kind of like, we brought this up last week, but with all the success that other coaches have had and all the other players have had post Chad Morris, I mean, what the hell were we thinking with like how good Chad Morris probably could have been? And myself included, Bill.
Yeah, me too. I still like Chad.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have much of an argument to buttress my past words, but boy, that thing, it was a disaster. We can't put lipstick on a pig, can we?
Well, you weren't the only one who thought he was going to work out here either. There's no doubt about that. The last thing I want to touch on, because, this recruiting dead period is ending, and so just a recruiting aspect here. You had mentioned about Arch Manning, who is in the class of 2023. And I know LSU is in the mix for him, but I just wonder, Has LSU always thought that they would be in the mix when there's a last name Manning included, which would include Archie, who started all this lineage? I mean, it's a family that's based in New Orleans. None of them have ever played for LSU. I mean, is this the one? Is this the one LSU thinks they're going to get?
LSU's never been in the running for Manning. Now they're perhaps in the running this time, but for Archie, Peyton, Eli, Cooper, none of them. You know, Archie's from Kiln, Mississippi, and played at Ole Miss, obviously. And I don't think they're going to get Arch this time either. The word, guys, and again, I'll caution your audience to put this down just kind of loosely. But the word behind the scenes is if you had to bet on a team today, understanding things can change, and also understanding these are not his words or his family's words. Clemson is the quiet leader, apparently.
Wow. And I'm even reading columns that are saying it's a guarantee he's going to the SEC. There are a lot of people that couldn't even imagine him playing outside the Southeastern Conference, Bill.
True. And he's going to start his visits with Texas schools, SMU, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson. And, of course, he can't take official visits. I believe the rule has been until August of your junior year, you know, right ahead of your junior year. So I mean, they've got plenty of money, but I think these are all unofficial trips for him.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it at that, Bill. Always appreciate you joining us, and we'll see if we get the Hogs and the Commodores, little woo pig and anchor down tomorrow. Hopefully, both our teams win tonight.
Let's do it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
You got it. That's Bill King, the king of college football talk. One of the princes of college baseball talk. We'll go with that.
Princes of college. That's nice.
A prince, yeah.
Wow.
Last name King, but he'd be a prince in college baseball. Hey, when it's time for new gates, some fence repairs at your home, the Fence Man should be your first call. They do it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, or maybe custom wrought iron fencing. The Fence Man is the only one to call. 479-782-3936 for the Fence Man. Again, that's 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing, now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. Fence Man ain't afraid of no work. And Change My Mind wraps up halftime after the break.